Okay, hello, welcome. So, been a few days since I've been back at uni. So, I have a few things here where I can't really massively show them right now. So, I thought I'd just explain what we did for the first week, because it's about midway through just now. So last week we had a little welcome meeting, which was everyone in one of the lecture halls in Dalhousie, which is one of the big buildings that actually have the big lecture halls, because there's only, I think, 4 or 5 lecture halls within the Matthew building of Djcad itself, and that can only fit, I think, maybe about 50-60 people in one room. So I think, or at least one of the bigger ones can only do that, so it's a little bit like annoying because I've mentioned some stuff that happened this week as well. We went to that one and that was fine just for the one meeting, and it was really fun. It started off with this quiz and it was mostly just going over stuff that was just in general, like booking stuff out, how the systems are going to work now, because they are now transitioning back from having kind of this hybrid of like online offline to as full-time on campus as possible, which I do understand. It has led to some stuff that's a little annoying, maybe for some people. I'm a little bit like, huh, but anyway. So it was mostly just going over programs, vaguely what we would be doing. It's mostly just on all animation stuff, so it was mostly just going over stuff. We learned a few like good things, because they were saying, for example, again with software, they were saying that we should make sure that like we are on the same software level, because they put up a document where it has all the different versions, or not even all the different versions, all the different software and what version we are using. Because obviously some stuff automatically updates, which can be annoying. I don't think I've got anything really to automatically update. Most stuff is a pop-up, and they were just saying so that if you work on stuff at home, you can then go work on, in classroom, and there's not going to be issues of, trying to transport files from like an older version to a newer version, which I do get, and it's something that I'm going to have to work on as well, because my laptop, you can see just there, it has a lot older version of some things, and so my plan is to possibly, particularly for things like Krita, I'm going to possibly go in and just take the layers of PNGs, or if there's anything that I really want to work on. But I know there's probably a lot I could just take the file and save it as a JPEG and then just like rework it, so I'm not too worried, but that's something I'm realizing I'm probably going to have to actually do as well. But that was useful to know. There is some stuff where we can buy our own stuff, but let's just say some of it's expensive, and it is like I was about to say industrial, but I don't think so. No, I suppose, yeah, industrial, like industry. It's like industry standard, so it's one of those things where, we're probably going to see it a lot. So in my head, I'm like, should I buy it? Should I not? I'll talk about it a little bit more later on, but so far there has been a few issues, and it has been due to strikes, which I'm not sitting here being like, how dare they strike? Like, I 100% support if anyone wants to strike, and it's your right to do so. I fully understand that sometimes you have to make a fucking mess in order for people to actually fucking fix it, so I fully understand it. But it has led to this unfortunate situation where our timetables are not correct. So they're on the right days, but they're not necessarily the right times or the right locations, because a lot of them are saying that they're online when in reality they are in person. So far this has been fairly, obviously it's the first week. Hopefully in the next few weeks it will be fully sorted out. But it has led to certain situations where we're like, what are we doing tomorrow? Nobody can tell us what we're doing tomorrow. So it's not anything too stressful, because again, like it's nothing that can't really be sorted by just a message on Teams. But that was pretty much the welcome meeting. It was mostly just going over general stuff, and then later on that day, about like an hour afterwards, which I don't think really had an hour because it kind of went over a little bit. So I pretty much just went to the premiere of the union and then went over to the Matthew building, because that's where our next lecture was, which was specifically level 2 animation. Pretty much covered a lot of stuff. It covered like what we're teaching weeks, so what the assessment week was, how the assessment would look, because they were talking about how this year we have to create a video and narrate over the video. Obviously, like, I think creating videos I'm fine with, and then on top of that, like, my own voice, I've kind of gotten a lot used to it. I would definitely say editing my own videos, it really kind of takes that away from like being shy of it, and even my own face, because it's like I've hardly any pictures of me as a teenager, because like I did not like the way I looked and self-confidence issues and everything. So it is one of those things where you know, I'm fine with it, but they were talking about apparently last year some people just tried to do like the voice to text, and they were just like, we know if it's not your voice, and like we want to get to know you and everything like that. So it was fine by me, but you know, we'll see how everything goes. It was mostly just going over the vague bits of the course. We don't know fully what everything ahead is going to look like for this semester or next semester. We have a vague idea. I think we're mostly doing like the bouncing ball, the tail, box cycle, possibly. I don't know whether this semester we're doing the super pug thing, which I suppose you will see later on. I will say this in this video. So I made a little mistake last year, which I didn't really realize was a thing, and now I'm like, oh, okay. So it's actually mostly as well, this was in the year 4 drawing, but it was also mostly to do with the life drawing, where it's not show life drawing online and everything like that. I would maybe say some of them were just Proco poses photos, so those are photos that are available. Yes, they're behind a paywall, but it wasn't that I was showing the photo itself, so there's a little bit up in the air that I feel like you could argue with that. But some of the other stuff, it's like that was still technically a person, and even though they were clothed, it was, you know, and we had the photo to work off of and all the rest of it. So I won't be showing any life drawing. If there is life drawing in my, you know, portfolio or my video, I will probably blur it for privacy's sake. I probably would not show any naked poses, definitely. They did say something about how like faces, if it doesn't have the face, then it probably would be alright. I would definitely block out the face one. But I think also if it is something where it's like it's mostly a hand, or it's mostly this, or it's mostly that, there's some life drawing that I will show, and there's probably some that I will block out and everything. So just something to be aware of, and also keep me aware of as I might do this to keep me in check. But that was pretty much that, and we were also let known about everything that was going on. They did tell us to use Seats because it is the general timetabling stuff, but Seats worked last year for me, completely do not work this year for me. So I might quickly ask next time like who I'm supposed to contact, because I know the email address for if you're absent, but I don't know if that's who I'm supposed to contact for other stuff. Like, they are doing a manual register this year, so I am hoping that even if Seats are completely blocked, then at least I can just make sure I am there. It is something where I am available. So also the timetable's off, which is also something, so I don't know, we'll figure it out. Maybe it's an issue for a lot of people, and it's just, anyway. So this year on the Monday we have life drawing, and we're rotating around a bunch, so we're split into 3 groups because our group is so big, and there's also a limit to how many people can be in the room at a certain time, which I do kind of understand. I do think it is weird though how there's only 18 allowed in one of the studios, which I think is the bigger studio, but it's on a Friday where you can come in and do life drawing on your own. Like, they'll have a model, it's model led, and you can book to come in on the Friday that we're talking about. But for that, it's like a limit of 25 in that room. So it's like, why is it on a Friday it's okay, but then during class it's not? It's a little weird to me, particularly because arguably in the class these are people you're going to be seeing, and if it's COVID then it's like they're probably going to be the people that are going to be most in your circle anyway. I'm rambling on, but anyway, they have another one which is in a different studio, which is model led, as I said before, and then they're going to possibly have another room for like 2 people with a model in that room. I don't know, because apparently I think it's something like there's going to be splitting up into 18, and then if it's model led they can go to the other one. I don't even know, it's a little complicated. And then the third one is going to be in the studio your own time. Apparently there are also resources that you can use in order to do your own stuff, like, because we have a tutor for it, at least in the tutor one we have a tutor for it, and they did talk about how there's going to be tutored stuff, so I don't quite know yet. But yeah, we have that on like Monday morning, and then on Tuesday. On Tuesday we were introduced to our first brief. It was mostly just going over the principles of animation, and that we were going to be using TV paint and doing a bouncing ball with a tail. And it was mostly because last year we did a bouncing ball, and a lot of people, I think everyone in the class knew what a bouncing ball was and everything like that, so it was kind of just adding that extra secondary animation onto it to kind of like show a little bit more of it and everything like that, which I think is perfectly fine. I wasn't sure whether we were going to start with just a bouncing ball and then we could turn it into whatever, or, you know what I mean, like it really is something where, you know, you don't really get a lot of glimpse of like what you're going to be doing so much. I think in later years we definitely are, particularly when it comes into third year where we'll be pitching our own things, and then in fourth year where we'll be organizing teams or be on a team that's organized to go do stuff. I think actually that's something I'll say a bit later. Okay, we'll get on to the next bit. So today, Wednesday, I don't think we really have anything on. Again, this is not the end of the first week, so I'll probably jump in here after Friday. So I think today we didn't really have anything, although on the timetable on on the Dundee Uni app, it says that we have something on a Wednesday next week. I have no clue if we actually have something on a Wednesday next week. Who knows, we'll see how everything goes. But I am hoping that we won't have anything that day. I'm not sure. He did talk about having Wednesday free for the sports stuff, because sports stuff tends to be on a Wednesday, but I wasn't sure whether he just meant the morning is going to be free, or like no, the afternoon's going to be free, but the morning will have something. Who knows? So on Thursday we have a lecture that is definitely online, the first one at least. So hopefully that means I can just chill and just watch it. I believe it's everyone in communication design is a part of that lecture. That's our context stuff. And we have to do an essay at the end of that one, which is like, oh my god. I'm hoping we can get some example essays, because last year I didn't do the best, and I feel like if I got an example essay it would have been a little bit clearer what I had to do. So I don't know whether after that point we're gonna have, be in person or what, because again they're talking about being more in person this year, so who knows. So on Friday I think we might have, in the morning we're definitely in, I think we might have that kind of tutor thing where he's going to go over TV Paint with us and starting the bouncing ball animation. So not entirely sure yet. I think for tonight my plan is, I've been organizing a lot of stuff, as you can see half the stuff is away, but I'm going to be organizing a bunch of stuff, tidying up stuff. I'm possibly going to be replacing this chair with the other chair that's in the corner of the room, because I'm not so hot on this one, I'll say that much. So I don't know why I mentioned the chair, but that's just something I'm going to do tonight. I also need to fill out some stuff and get some stuff organized, but tomorrow's just a lecture. I need to do some reading, that's right, because I have the Illusion of Life book, which I was reading through the principles of animation, and then I also have buried under here, you can see the big thick bit of white there, is the animated survival kit, survival guide, survival kit, I'm not sure, but I need to also do that and then start writing stuff down and actually putting stuff on paper, because right now I haven't done much of that, and I was just spent the time reading. So yeah, basically the plan is just, I think we have to just research the principles of animation, and then possibly I'm going to research a little bit more about bouncing ball and everything like that, because it talked a little bit in the Illusion of Life, like why they did a bouncing ball, and then also talked about like the way people were kind of like almost split into two by the way that they approached the bouncing ball. By this one where they were like playing about with the angle of the camera and the like technical side of it, and then this other side which was like putting that element of surprise, like one of it where it exploded, and then another one where it flew off and turned into a bird, like, and they went into like two very different departments. And yeah, anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but gonna be doing a lot of that tonight and getting everything sorted and organized, and then tomorrow context stuff, fun. But yeah, so far that's been the first like half of a week. I mostly went out to date with a friend and got some boba, because why not? And yeah, pretty much that's gonna be that. I think that's the way the flow is gonna work though, where it's gonna be Monday live drawing, Tuesday something else. I know that also our briefs are going to be split into 2 weeks. So this first brief is the bouncing ball. Don't know whether the next brief is going to be a walk cycle, but basically I think there's going to be about 5 briefs total. I don't know whether the last brief is just going to be putting everything together, or exactly what everything's going to be. Who knows? I've got a lot to learn and a lot of stuff mentioned that I was like, okay. Some stuff also I kind of recognize from seeing other people's stuff, like timing lines and all the rest of it. So yeah, anyway. I'm gonna get organized stuff, and I will see you in the next part of the video, which I'll probably after Friday afternoon. Oh, that was something else I wanted to talk about. Basically, the way that it works is our studio doesn't have any computers in it, which is fine. But it does mean that basically there's about, I think, 5 labs, media labs. I think one of them is a 3D lab, so that only has 3D computers and you have to book out. One of them, I think, there might be 2 3D labs, and I think about it. I don't think so, maybe I'm wrong. I think one of which is in the Matthew building, which is a different building. So you've got Crawford and Matthew. Matthew is like a different building, and a lot of art stuff is more in Crawford. Matthew is a lot more architecture and environmental design stuff and all the rest of it. There's also the digital loan stuff where you can book out like tablets and things like that, which are necessary if you want to work in one of the 2 media labs in the Matthew building, not in the Matthew building, in the Crawford building. I think there is a Media Lab 3, which I don't quite know where that is, because I can't quite remember, man. I can't remember if it's 5 media labs and then there's a 6th one which is 3D lab, or it's like one of the things is a 3D lab. I can't quite remember, man. I just know 1 and 2, and 2 has these really nice XP pen displays, and that one, it's the smaller of the 2. I am like, that one's gonna get absolutely like heaving with people, I'm sure, because for Media Lab 1 has Macs in it, and while I don't mind Macs, you have to book out a tablet from like a Wacom tablet, which is not a screen, I don't believe, a screen display, and you have to do that through the digital loan thing, and you have to like book it out per week, and it's a little complicated. I think for me, I would have preferred it if they just had these, you know, basic Wacom tablets in the studios itself. Like, I kind of understand the loan process because it's for you to be able to take home, but also at the same time, part of me is like, I don't really need to take it home. I have one at home. So part of me is just a bit like, can I not, you know, just have one for when I'm in studio when I need to use one for the Mac? Because I don't think I can use the one that I have. My one's a fairly oldish one, and they did say you need like a specific one because they don't allow you to book out any of the, or it's a specific software that they have on there, and so they don't allow you to download any new software on there. Like once it's like, that's the software it has and that's it. So, which is fine, other than the fact that like, it would just be nice if there was ones in there and we didn't have to have this spare one that's only if we need to go into Media Lab 1. So part of me is just a bit like they could have just had them in there, particularly when the Macs are like their all new Mac. And part of me is just a bit like, yeah, like that's the main reason I think a lot of people are going to be booking out these tablets, is so that they can use it in there. And I don't know how many people are going to download TV Paint on their own, because it used to be you could use like a VPN which would allow you to go into the software and stuff. But now, because they want everyone back on campus, that's not allowed anymore. We're not able to use like a free version of it, essentially. And that means we have to get a student version of TV Paint, which, while discounted when you are a student, is expensive. It's 250 quid. And I understand it's industry standard stuff, like you very well could be using TV Paint, you know, in your career. If you're doing freelance, it probably would be a good idea to get a student version. But I think for right now, I'm gonna leave it, and then if I decide going into 4th year that I really want to have it, or I want to have it over the summer from 3rd year, like whenever I decide that I really want to have it, I might get it, because it is a perpetual license, which essentially means that it's not month by month. It is, you buy it, it will update. So if I get the student discount, pretty good. I also need to check as well if there's, because there's 2 different versions. There's like a premium or a pro version, and then there's like a standard version, and I would really like to know which one's the most likely to be used in the industry. Like what are the differences, because if it's literally just mostly the same and most people will use standard because it's the cheaper version, then I would just get standard. But maybe if it is something where it's like, oh, when you're actually in the industry, majority of the time you're using pro or premium or whatever the name of it is, I might get that one instead. So yeah, definitely would buy it when it has a student discount. They are looking at doing Toon Boom, which they are saying like, oh yeah, you might use a mix, so we do want to get one, but it takes time to get these licenses, particularly for, you know, something like a university. They need to kind of like hash things out, how many computers are going to use it, all the rest of it. So it is what it is. Hopefully I will be able to learn a bit of Toon Boom as well, because I would really like to be able to have skills in multiple different media, because I think that's going to be really, really useful going forward. I'm also possibly thinking of looking at things like Blender. I'm not entirely sure which industry I would like to go into right now. I don't have a picture perfect view right now. It is something that you do get told a lot or asked a lot. Maybe it's just my experience, but you kind of get people, it's like, oh, what do you want to go into then? And I'm like, I don't know. Did you know when you were in uni? Did you know your job title? Like, I hate it so much because it's just like, I don't know, I might want to be, you know, this thing, and it, you know, I want to do storyboarding and then end up being like the lighting artist, like for most of my career. Like, we don't know. But I am thinking that if I can just like figure out a little bit more if I want to go 2D, 3D, and then possibly just go off maybe during summer and try and learn stuff on my own using things like YouTube or even sites like Skillshare or Domestika, I guess, another like very art-based learning sites. So I know the courses, and I'm very aware that like courses do cost and stuff like that, but we'll see how everything goes and what I want to do from there. But yeah, a lot of the software is just downloaded onto these Media Lab machines, so that's where we're probably predominantly going to be going. I am excited to use the 22-inch tablet screens because I haven't used a screen one before other than my iPad kind of is one, but I think it'll be very interesting to see. I don't know if I'm going to get one myself. Maybe I will later on down the line. I will have to really wait and see. Mostly just budgeting things, and then also other things. I did have to pay tuition this year as well, so that kind of affected how much money I have right now. It's not like I don't have any. Bear in mind, like, I'm, you know, in a pretty safe spot for most students. Like, I am, probably because I worked for 4 years before I actually came here. Actually, more than 4 years. I worked for like 6. So yeah, I think a few people are kind of a little annoyed at the fact that they aren't able to work on stuff at home, and I also am a little bit, but also at the same time, I think it is something where I'm so close to the university, I think I'd rather just pop in and go do stuff. There's also the extra bit where the university is open till 9, and there is no class time past, I think, 4 o'clock, so if there's no one in the media labs after 4 o'clock, you're safe to go in and work, and that'll probably be what I do. Like, I'd probably come back here at like 4, maybe make a quick dinner, and then jump back into studio and work on stuff. So yeah, it's not necessarily like, oh, this is terrible or anything like that. It's mostly just a little bit like, I would have liked to, but also at the same time, I probably would have then spent the vast majority of my time at home because I wouldn't need to go into uni. So I can understand kind of why they're doing it, and also there's probably an element of cost there that maybe it was costing more to do that. Who knows? I'm not the person who controls the money at Djcad, so I have no clue. But yeah, anyway, sorry that was a massive tangent into technology, but basically that's what we're doing. If you're, like, I suppose interested in the course or whatever, like, I obviously don't know everything about the course. I'm literally starting it, and they don't give you all they don't lay their cards on the table as much as I would like, to be fair. I'm very much not a big fan of surprises. That's my personally, like, I prefer to kind of know what I'm going into so I can, like, also research ahead of time. So if I end up being a slump of motivation, I can kind of go, okay, well, at least I know what I'm doing here because I kind of kept myself ahead. But yeah, I'm interested to learn TV Paint. I know some people have already gone in and they've already kind of like looked at TV Paint. The only reason I didn't was because he was saying that he wanted to look and make sure the thing was downloaded properly, and I was afraid that a pop-up would start at the beginning and I would end up clicking the wrong thing and it would fuck up for the rest of the time. So yeah, that is my plan. So yeah, but I think on Friday we're gonna start learning it. So I think my plan is on the Friday afternoon I'd probably come back into the labs and work on TV Paint for a little while and possibly get a head start on my little principal animation. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next bit. I know I said that 3 times, but now I'm actually serious. See ya. Okay, so hello. So it's been a little bit. It's now like Tuesday of the 2nd week, and basically yesterday we had live drawing, and at this time we were in model led because we're switching around which rooms we're in because there's only like a certain amount of capacity for certain rooms, and so that means that so far we had one which was actually like properly tutored with a model, and the other one is model led where there's no tutor but there is like a model, and then the third one I think we're just working in studio, working off of some resources. But we did this thing at the end, which the model actually introduced, called sequencing, where it was pretty much that they would like, for example, they just like got up onto this platform thing and sat down in the chair, but they would stop for like 30 seconds and then you'd have to really quickly draw the pose, and then they'd move on like another step and then pause and you had to draw that, and that was really fun. I think sometimes with longer poses, if I don't have like a tutor there, I tend to get a little like bored in a way, because I don't quite know exactly like what I need to fix sometimes, so I'm kind of just like, okay, just continue going. And I think, to be honest, what I could do with those times is really work on like shading and stuff like that, because that's something I tend not to do so much, and I think I could really work into that a little bit if I tried, so maybe next time that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, that was pretty much that. And then today we had a kind of tutorial, like it was just going through like what we were going to be doing for the bouncing ball. I already did one, but to be fair, I was already like, this is a bit too big, I don't think this is going to work, and so I don't think it will work because I think it needs to come to a stop. So I pretty much just like sketched out like what he was doing onto a different document and kind of like separated the layers and everything. And then my plan is, I was thinking about going in later on today. I still might, I'm not entirely sure yet, but I think I might go in later on today or either after the thing tomorrow, because we have a little kind of presentation thing where the 4th years are going to show off their animatics for their final film. So we're going to go in and basically like just look at those and give feedback and stuff like that. It'll be really interesting to like see the process more from the start, because obviously with everything being a lot more industry based, they have been saying that like, in industry you would not be allowed to like say anything about anything, so you'd pretty much like have to just hold all your cards until the very end, and then you can show everything. Even then, I'm not sure you technically could. It depends, I think, on whether it's, obviously with this, it's like it's kind of like your project, it's your work within the university, so obviously you're going to put that into your portfolio, so obviously you need kind of access to it. But it might, obviously I don't know whether in industry like it is something where it's like you can't necessarily show that unless you ask, like, and all the rest of it, or like you could have it in a portfolio but you can't spread it out on social media. I don't know, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see them from like the animatic stage and kind of like then to the final thing. I don't know if there's going to be any sort of like update in terms of like another one where we'll get to see like more in progress, like I don't know, maybe we will, maybe we won't. But yeah, we're doing that tomorrow, and that starts at 2 in a building that I've never been in before, so I'm gonna have to go look it up and see exactly where it is. I have no clue where that building is. But oh yeah, I wanted to show off like my fit for the day, so I'll just like, put it up here. But like, I wore the moon boots again. I've been kind of wearing them a little bit more. I've been wearing like really thick socks with them and kind of trying to like break them in a little bit more, and so far it's been working. Like, I'm just wearing tights with this, and last time that wasn't really the best thing, but like now it's actually like fairly good. Like half the time when I was sitting down it was like I couldn't get the pressure off, but now it's like actually when I sit down it's actually fine after a few minutes. It's walking is a little bit harder now. I'm finding it's putting a little bit of strain on my ankle, so I'm gonna have to like continue working on these boots because I really want to be able just to like chuck them on and wear them, but it does make it a little annoying. And yeah, I wore the mid necklace. Pretty much all of this is Skillstar other than the tights, which are Snag. I was originally planning on wearing makeup today, but then I was like, oh, it's early now. I'm not gonna do it. But I think for right now I need to go get lunch, and then I'm going to go through the brief and all the videos that he's put up because I've yet to watch them. I should have watched them last night, but I forgot to. Or well, I think I was just doing other stuff and then time ran out, so I think that might be the plan for tonight, and I might go in tomorrow after the animatics. But I don't know if something's gonna happen. I don't know if there's anything else we need to do, but I think the rest of the week is going to be the lecture on Thursday, and then I think on Friday we're going to a lecture theatre instead of the media labs because the media labs are booked out. It's a lot of like up in the air stuff. That I would say that's one thing about like not having designated computers in like the studio. It means that we can't actually end up just going in kind of whenever we want to, and they're always going to be available. It kind of means that if there's someone teaching in there, it doesn't mean we can't use it. I know that there's a few more media labs than just the ones in the graphic design corridor, but like I don't know where the rest of them are. I think a few of them are in the Matthew building, and then one of them is the 3D lab, which you have to book. So I'm not sure, like where I could go to like go check. I just know the ones in there, so I'm like, I'll probably check those too if those are used and whatever. But yeah, anyway, I think my plan is going to be, I might take some of this off, just mostly because I don't, particularly this mesh dress, I don't want it getting caught on something and ripping it and stuff, so I'm like, I'll take this off for now and then maybe just like chuck on a hoodie or whatever. And yeah, probably just do what I said before. And yeah, that's the plan for the rest of the week, and then we'll find out what's happening next week. Probably be more of the same, pretty much. I know that we have to do the tail, the bouncing ball with the tail, for Monday. So I think my plan is going to be on the Friday. If I can't get access to any of the media labs, like in the afternoon, because we're still going to be in the morning, I'd probably go home and then grab lunch and wait for a bit, and then probably head back in and then hopefully finish off fully, so then on Saturday, Sunday I don't need to do anything. So yeah, that's the plan. See you in a bit. Okay dokie, right, so I have completed the second week. Right now it's a little bit further than I originally anticipated. I am wearing the same thing I wore on Wednesday, to be honest, which was these like Killstar pumpkin joggers, which I absolutely love. And this like pumpkin jumper, which is really nice, that I got last year. I mostly just like wore them because again it's October time and I'm kind of like, this is the time to wear it. So gonna wear these like out for the month when I still can wear them. But so on, I think last time I filmed was Tuesday. So on Wednesday we went to go see the animatics for the 4th year films, and that was really fun. We got to give feedback and everything. I felt sometimes I felt a little bit kind of almost bad because everyone was like throwing out ideas for some of the concepts, or some of them didn't quite click at first. And I mean, that's partially the point of us giving feedback, is so we're able to say, oh, I didn't really get this, or maybe you could do this to help push the idea of this thing or whatever. So a lot of them were really good. There were some that I really like the ideas of, and then the story wasn't quite there, but I think that's mostly just because it's an animatic, so in the full thing it'll kind of feel properly together. But yeah, that was that. That was for like 4 or 5 hours or something, and then I went into the studio afterwards, and no, it was only about 3 hours, I think, actually, now I think about it. But anyway, I went into the studio afterwards and was able to use one of the XP pens, and I did a bunch of my animation, so I had like the bouncing ball down, which is what I really wanted to get down. And then on Thursday I had the lecture and did that, and that was fine. Like, it was more scientific, I suppose, than I was kind of expecting. It was more about the brain science and how your eyes work to perceive things. I kind of understood it and kind of the reason why, but I must admit I thought it was going to be something more like more along the lines of like, if you like why the eye is like drawn to the color black in a painting, or like, you know, that kind of thing, where it's like it would have to do with like what we're actually going to be analysing, because we have to analyse 3 paintings for an essay by the end of the semester. So it's like, I'm not sure. I'm gonna wait until after, or on this Thursday. My plan is I'm going to look at what they say to analyse for it, and I'm just going to look at the paintings and get a list of different paintings that I think could work in terms of analysis, or things that I like. I haven't done that yet, mostly because I wanted to wait at least until the first lecture, but then I was expecting it to be a little bit more about the analysis stuff. I know later on we are getting like more of a here's what you should write in the essay kind of thing, or just generally what kind of thing. I will say, I don't know if I said this before, I'm a lot more confident for this one. I think it's more akin to what I know. I feel like when I went for my last essay, because they didn't really give any examples and it was very like do whatever, it kind of meant that it was a little difficult to know how to approach things. And while I followed what they said to follow, you know, I think I got critiqued for following it too closely, or not, you know, having paragraphs out with the kind of system that they had set up. I don't know how to you know, explain it, but yeah. Anyway, so we did that on Thursday. Then Friday, what did I do on Friday? Then Friday we were back in, but instead of going to a media lab, we were going to a lecture theatre, which was alright. It meant that he had the full kind of time to explain everything, and I find that's kind of a little bit better. I think maybe because of either the amount of questions or the kind of tangents he ends up going on, it kind of means that we do kind of need that extra time to be able to cover everything. And I do think that this, because we're covering the tail in this one, I do think that this was supposed to happen at the beginning of the week. I think because of all the timetabling stuff going on and trying to figure all that out, and also having the class in general split, because originally he was looking for a lecture theatre. I think that because having the class split, it meant that, you know, he had half the amount of time to go over everything that he was planning to go over. So maybe it's just a mixture of things as to what was going on there. But yeah, I think this was supposed to happen so we'd have questions and stuff, because a lot of us were kind of like, okay, it was like we understood what was going on, but like actually putting that into action and putting that into the animation is a lot trickier than it looks. Like way trickier. So I ended up going to, actually I went to the Media Lab first, but then I decided I was actually going to come back and have lunch because I was getting kind of hungry, and I was like, I'll go have lunch and then I'll jump back onto the, you know, hopefully next weekend, because there was a class in when I first went and had a look right after the lecture. So I then came back in and worked pretty much the majority of the time there, and then I ended up on the Friday night going home because there's something that happened which is now resolved, thank God, but you know, that was a bit of a stressful week than I wanted. But I did end up just finishing off this, which is just like a bunch of writing on the, you know, animation thing. That's not really something that's like, or the principles of animation, it's not really something that's like super new or whatever. But I did do this little thing which you can maybe see. Look at this. It's also just again like the bouncing ball, the different kind of types where it's like from light and bouncy to heavy, and then also the kind of S shapes and C shapes in the tail, and then generally talking about like how you can visualize it with like the two balls moving at like a different like alternately along like a piece of thing that bends it. You've maybe seen it, but yeah, I did that, and then pretty much it was on Friday I did finish off the bouncing ball, so today went in for life drawing, but it was mostly self-directed, so I've drawn some kind of a couple minutes to draw kind of figures from just kind of like quick pose, and then I'm going to take a red pencil and just draw out the muscles and stuff like that is going to be my plan, and hopefully that'll help make it a little bit clear that I'm looking at anatomy and everything, and I'm just kind of going to use the internet. So I think it's going to be a plan for tonight, and then filming a couple of other things. I'll be wearing something for that, but I think that's the end of brief 1. I've submitted that and that's done, but I think next we are doing a 3D bouncing ball, which will be interesting because I've never really used any sort of 3D software before. I've kind of seen stuff on Photoshop where it's like you can put something like a 2D image into like 3D on like 3D object or whatever if you want to like showcase an idea for like a cover for a mug or something like that. I've seen that, but I haven't ever played about with it because mostly I was on this computer, and this computer is not the best at all. So plan is I'm gonna do that stuff, and then I'll probably maybe come back tomorrow after class and maybe talk about how that went. We're in a new place and I kind of vaguely know where it is, but I don't quite know, so I maybe have to get up a little bit earlier just to make sure I can find the room, because yeah, anyway, I'll see you in a bit. But yeah, that's brief 1 done, so I'll see you in a bit.